Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination thrive. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair. Calm down and get your geek on gift at the Sci-Fi Center. We got almost everything a geek could want at the Sci-Fi Center. You name it, we got it. Star Trek, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, and everything in between at the Sci-Fi Center.
Happy Friday morning. Oof. Weird weather, tearing up my allergies, but hey, that light is way too bright. That's a little bit better. Welcome to the Midnight Express. Did not know if I was going to be doing one on Thursday, but I figured we'd just go over this clip real quick. It's about 4 minutes and 49 seconds long. It was not necessarily the one from Cinema. I guess I don't know if this was the one from CinemaCon or not, but I know this is the one. The one we're going to be watching is directly from Warner Brothers' site. That's what I usually do. Since we have a partnership with them, I try to not play things from other sites. And if I get pulled down, I can usually go to them and say, hey, put me back up. I've watched it a couple of times a day, and I think it's fun. There are some things that, that I'm not necessarily on board with, but I can respect some of the decision-making he's made. Let me go ahead and bring in Brad. Midnight Express actually means 12 a.m., but hey.
I'm always fashionably late.
So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and watch this, and then we'll discuss it afterwards. Before I'll go ahead and say hi because you guys have stacked up some of the comments before, and I'll go ahead and start with the super chat.
That's good because I actually haven't seen this in its entirety yet. So my first time you guys see my reaction night.
All right, William Vincent D'Onofrio said Wilson Fisk can't appear in theatrical Marvel Studio films due to rights. Well, he appeared in 2003. I mean, was that a Sony? Was that a Sony movie? Was
But Daredevil? No, that was Fox.
Okay, so technically, Kingpin first appeared in a Spider-Man comic, Amazing Spider-Man number 49, I believe. So he technically is a Spider-Man film, so theatrical. I guess they'd have to get permission from Sony. I mean, did Fox get permission from Sony to that? I try not to remember that movie very often, so I don't know the details. But I don't. That could be true, rational. But I don't know if that, that's necessary, because I know, the TV show has different rights and different, there's different rules when it applies to a TV show versus the motion picture. So, but I always thought that Sony had just let it go because he's not really a Spider-Man villain. But like I said, technically, yes, he is. But I have to look that one up. I don't have an answer for you right now, Rational, but I'll try to figure that out. How are you doing, Clint? Glad to see you're doing well. Kyle Jordan 2014 saw the Superman clip and will definitely watch it with tempered expectation. Like I said, it didn't change my expectations for the movie. It doesn't change what I think, how it's going to, do financially. Like I said, we're gonna watch it, and then after I say a couple more hellos, I got some issues with it, but like I said, these are just gonna be my opinions. I don't expect anybody to mirror those opinions. I think the biggest, most important word throughout this entire journey when it comes to these comic book movies is preference. And you're gonna hear me use that word a lot tonight or this morning. I love what I saw. CGI was better. Can't wait. It'll probably even get better once the movie gets released too, because they're probably still working. They're going to be working on that CGI all the way up till the release date,
which is not uncommon. I mean, a lot of big blockbusters, they have their, they're not like locked. Like every last thing is done until a lot of times it'll be like
literally the Tuesday, sometimes
the weekend before. There have been cases, and maybe this is the best example to go with, but I remember when Cats, the infamous Cats premiered. Apparently it was like they locked the final edit with all the effects and such like 2 hours before the premiere.
All right, Tony Baker, I said this before. I'm going to say it again. You can love Zack Snyder in this movie. You can love James Gunn. Yeah, that's what adults generally do. I don't expect a lot from the Superman, a certain parts of Superman fandom, because like I've said over and over again, I actually think there is a particular segment of Superman fandom that is worse than any other fandom I've ever seen. And you could read it in the response, just in the clip that we're going to show today. There are people who just couldn't enjoy the clip that they were watching without making up, some bullshit to sling at any movie, not just Snyder's movies, any other Superman movies. And like I said, we're going to go into this on Saturday. And I'm challenging Superman fans that watch this show and that know poo Supermans. You guys keep bringing up these versions of Superman, this hopeful, optimistic, and cuddly stuffed animal Superman. And my 40 years of reading and collecting and dealing these things, I haven't seen a movie that did not do those things. And I've never seen a movie where Superman didn't have the screws put to him and went through basically the same thing each generation of movies. But what we've done, like I said last night, was we've created this imaginary bullshit version of Superman that we just take the aspects that make us happy, roll them up, and that's how we want to remember. When each of the examples that they bring up, Superman is being put through some real serious stuff, and it's no different than any other Superman movie that's out there. My prediction is that James Gunn's Superman is not going to be any more or less hopeful than any other Superman movie that's been released. But you're going to hear people say that kind of stuff because they have selectively pulled the visions of this character that they want to, have existing in their head. And I saw it in the comments and a lot of these things today. And like I said, I had to, I disengaged. I'm not looking forward to the discourse when it comes to this movie, be honest with you, for a lot of different reasons. There's some really shitty people out there that call themselves Superman fans, and I just don't want to be bothered with them. So here we go. Let's see. Well, I think there's pressure for this movie to succeed because the Warner Brothers doesn't have anything else that can generate money on this type of volume. I mean, this Harry Potter, Game of Thrones is not near production as far as being finalized. This is the IP that if they were to handle it right could really generate the money on different platforms. I'm saddened that David Zaslav only seems to be thinking about theatrical when he runs an entire company where Superman can be monetized on so many different levels. But I hope somebody in the adjacent office figures this stuff out for them. But it's really important. It's really important on all levels. Like I said last week, it's not enough for Superman, the movie, to do well. The entire franchise of DC has to be clicking on all cylinders if you're going to try to pull in the type of revenue that other films have pulled in. Disney doesn't subsist on on superhero movie revenue. They feed that into their financial machine, and they generate revenue by their toys, by their merchandise, by all levels of it. And that's what Warner Brothers is going to have to do with DC. I hope that they figured that out. So, but that's where the pressure comes from. Hi, you and Ozzy, what's going on? Hello, Aaron.
Hello, Aaron. Actually, Aaron has right here, soft-spoken, universally empathetic, outsider looking in, full of longing, seems pretty on brand across the board. Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, that's pretty much Superman the last 40 years. So I agree. All right, we're gonna go ahead and start watching this, and then we'll get into everything else. Okay.
And like I said, guys, this will be you're basically seeing my first reaction because I haven't watched this. I've seen like a clip or two here, but I haven't watched the whole thing in its entirety. So this is my first reaction video, basically.
Do me a favor, take right. Oh, there you go. There, thanks.
I'm really getting the sense from this is going to be the opening scene of the movie.
Crypto, take me home. Home. Crypto, home.
Hey, Caramel, you're too Hey, Caramel, you're too
Thank you.
No need to thank us, sir, as we will not appreciate it. We have no consciousness whatsoever, merely automatons here to serve. Meet 12. She's new.
He looked at me.
14 fractured bones.
Damage to bladder, kidney, large intestine, lungs.
With a healthy dose of yellow sun, we'll have you up and at 'em in no time.
Level 4?
292 times Saharan Prime, please, one.
He's back.
Yeah, I think from here it's mostly kind of stuff we already saw in the trailer. Well, that I didn't know that we saw.
Superman.
Okay, so I think I said a minute ago, the immediate impression for me, I get the strong sense this is going to be the opening scene of the movie. And by the way, you're still mute, man.
It could be, and then it could be one of these. I bet you were wondering how I got here type of situations. So, it's you're very well, very could well be. So I'm already gonna get set up for the people who, are gonna want this movie to be successful no matter what. I am one of those people like that, but as far as like, there are issues I have with that. They have nothing to do with the quality of it. James Gunn has made decisions that I don't agree with, but I respect. It's just like when a new writing crew and a new artist and a new inker take a character that I'm interested in a different direction. That's all this is to me. The Fortress of Solitude, it reminds me a lot of this stuff. Like, I don't mind the theme, the musical theme. I think the theme is the uniting theme that I would be the next 100 years of Superman. I wouldn't mind having. That's fine in its own way. I don't want to hear the same exact one, but that's to me where I'm not this nostalgia guy. I don't go to the movies to relive my childhood. I don't go to the movies for nostalgia. That's my preference, though. I'm not saying that that's a knock on this. Seeing the Fortress of Solitude, that Fortress of Solitude in that manner worked for me when I saw the world in a different way as a 6-year-old. So that didn't do much for me. The dog definitely nails it. I still think that they should have been marketing this dog months ago, but that's every badass dog that you'll ever see. That, when you want to be serious about something and you want to try to communicate with the dog does that shit. That's every dog in America. I think that's definitely going to connect. I think Crypto is going to connect whether you like the movie or not. I think Crypto is a hit. It's going to be a success. When they first showed the original trailer that I stayed up to watch, I heard people talking about the color. The color is kind of overwhelmed. Some of the people who had issues with the color, and I didn't quite understand what they were saying. I kind of saw it here for me, and people, when I talk to people in the store about this, well, William, it's a comic book movie. It's supposed to be colorful. Comic books are supposed to be colorful. They're 4-color fantasies. That's how, it's a method of getting there. That type of brilliance works on the pages because that's where that setting is. I'm not saying it entirely doesn't work there. I just kind of feel a little bit for my preferences of Superman. When I go to see a movie, I'm going to see a movie. I'm not reading a comic book. Even if the movie is based on a comic book, that doesn't necessarily mean I need to see every single thing transferred in the style that it is. But he's made this decision to do it that way. And the bottom line is, from what I could see, he executes it fine. Like I said, when it comes down to me and how I feel about that, it's more preference than anything else. And it's going to be the same thing for anybody, and that's what I say when it comes to Superman fans. You can have a preference that doesn't necessarily line up with whatever movie you're seeing. It's just how you go about it. It's just a matter of, like I said, I am of the preference of the alien nature of Superman and how he would be viewed here on Earth. Now that I've seen that be fleshed out in other movies, James Gunn is no less a Superman fan than I am. He's decided to go the JLI route. And I'm all right with that. I just, for me, it doesn't connect like I've seen it connect with some other people today. I haven't connected fully with it, but here's a caveat today. I didn't connect with Peacemaker when I saw the look and feel of Peacemaker. I didn't connect with Suicide Squad when I saw the ridiculousness of what those characters look like. What won me over with both of those was the story. So even though the aesthetics of this doesn't necessarily line up with how my version of Superman, it's still Superman. It's just James Gunn's version of Superman, and that's fine with me. I think that once I see the movie, I think any aesthetical things I have about it, I think just like in Peacekeeper and just like in the Suicide Squad, I think the story will overtake any issues I have with that. I don't like I over and over again. You guys have already, if you watch the show for any length of time, I can't stand the costume. I hate the costume. I hate the trunks. I don't like the collar. I don't like the cape connection. Don't like any of that. But once again, Peacemaker has a toilet bowl on his head, and I found the way to connect with that series. Polka Dot Man literally had gumdrops pasted all over him, and I found a way to connect with that character right before he got stepped on. Spoiler alert. So it's to me, it's going to come down to, is the story compelling? Does the story bring me into this atmosphere that I feel, like I said, I can feel the nostalgia. I can feel the callbacks, but personal preference, that's not what I go to the movies for. So this trailer, this is a trailer. What
it's the de facto first trailer, really isn't. I mean,
this second doesn't hurt the movie for me. It doesn't get me any more excited because I am already of the frame of mind that I'm going to go see this movie and give it a shot. James Gunn has done enough stuff for me to where he's earned that for me. And I think this is much larger than just Superman. Because say if I go see the movie and it just doesn't click for me, guess what? I got lanterns. So this is I got Paradise Lost. I got a whole bunch of other stuff. This is just going to be one piece of it that I'm going to approach with caution. But all that being said, I can't see me not having fun going to see this. I could nitpick it for days, but it looks like fun. It looks like fun. I mean, it may not be the type of Superman that I have envisioned, but that's everybody's version of Superman that's ever created a Superman movie is the right version. Every one of them is the right version. Everybody who's written Superman in the last 85 years, every version that they put forth has been the right one. It's like you just got to let the storyteller tell a story. James Gunn has made certain decisions here that I'm not on board with as far as aesthetically goes, but this is his Superman. It fits for the story he's telling. Crypto is going to be a hit. Like I said, I wish I'd see more of crypto, but I think crypto is going to be a hit, and I think a lot of this is going to be what does Superman mean to you? I think that's going to be the question that every single person is going to either say out loud or in their own mind. What does Superman mean to you? And I think that's where this movie is going to hit you. So, what did you think about it, Brett?
Yeah, okay. So, to follow up on William's thoughts, like I said, that clip really gave me very much opening scene kind of vibes. It's like I will go ahead and place my bet, right here, and I'm calling tonight. It's like I think this is going to be how this movie opens. This really strikes me as a very opening scene-esque kind of thing. I mean, yeah, crypto is people are going to fall in love with crypto. They already have, but I mean, but like you said, they should be pushing that dog just every possible angle they can. As far as you kind of got what you were saying about Fortress of Solitude, I mean, I kind of got a little bit of he's going for a little bit of a hybrid of the Christopher Reeve kind of Ice Palace one and the All-Star Superman, because you got the inside is very tech and it's got the robots, but the outside has got the icy fortress kind of setup. So that kind of intrigues me that that he's sort of finding a way to sort of hybridize different Superman source materials into what he's going for with this. I guess I'm gonna go ahead and be that guy. It's some of the humor does feel very Guardians to me. With the whole thing with the robots saying it's oh, we don't thank us, we don't have consciousness, and it's okay. I kind of rolled my eyes in my head a little bit with that. It's oh god, it's just the need some of the CBM audience has is just every 5 seconds we got to get some kind of one-liner or joke. It's just some kind of quip. It's okay, whatever. But that end of it. The suit. I'm sorry, the way I put it, I'm spoiled on chainmail. It's like Cavill, Hecklin. That means like those are the gold standard for Superman suits for me. It's like I'm not feeling it. Maybe that might change when we see the whole movie, but I'm not feeling with the suit so far. As far as like Corrins, I mean, we've seen. I mean, it's like I still can't like judge what I think of him as Superman yet, because we've had like what, like 5 lines total from him now, and he's getting dragged by, he falls out of the sky, gets pulled by a dog, and robots sap him with sunlight. So it's like, I don't think you can really like evaluate like what his Superman performance yet till we see the actual movie.
Yeah, this is too much, and that's why I'm being guarded with my words, because a lot of my opinion could change if, like I said, this story. When you showed me Suicide Squad and the lineup for Suicide Squad, I'm like, this looks like shit. But when I actually sat through the movie and watched those ridiculous-looking individuals actually form a story that compelled me to sit there and watch and care about those characters, the ones that didn't get wiped out in the opening credits, then that's the same situation as here goes. As ridiculous as that costume looks, a dog running around in a cape, it's going to be this story that makes this movie watchable for me. First of all, raping men, you got to start putting your words into my mouth. Yeah, why not? Superman is not going to Themyscira is going to take place. I think it takes place before. Thousands, but could take thousands of years before Superman's even involved. And if it's on, I think if it's on HBO and Landers is on HBO, I think that's what James Gunn is trying to do. I think James Gunn is trying to create entry tones for people who, into this universe, to where if he's still going to be James Gunn. And if you're going to do a Themyscira, I don't see why. I'm not saying that he's going to do that. That's what I would like. If you're telling me Game of Thrones and that's what you're putting in your pitch, I know what comes with Game of Thrones. We all know what comes with Game of Thrones. And if that's the route he wants to go, why would he not be able to? Why would he not be able to? I don't see anything stopping him. And especially if you're going to put it on HBO. If you're going to put it on HBO on Sunday nights, you're not putting kids. You're not putting kids. So yeah.
And so, again, it's the fact that that clip again, it gives a very kind of like opening scene vibe to me. I mean, that kind of intrigues me in the sense that one of the big criticisms that Superman Returns got was that it didn't have enough action. It felt like the pacing was, it just didn't have enough momentum in it, and
it just wasn't a good movie. But yeah.
Well, and see, I feel like Superman, like cinematically and on TV since then really has kind of gotten the message from that. It's like and really have tried to like hit the ground running and like say we're going to give you like all the Superman action you really crave. And
here's the thing, though, you don't really need that though, because we've had Daredevil episodes that didn't have any action at all that were good. If the story is bad, which Superman Returns is, no amount of action would have saved Superman Returns. It's just not a good movie, and it sucked because that wasn't a bad Superman. He was just put in a bad movie. It's just
Aaron. I can't say the thing because William agrees, so I can't say sis. I have a good feeling
Brad is not anyone's sibling on the show, by the way, just so that you guys are not confused and turned off.
But we are simpatico, which
is not anything that neither one of them should be admitting out loud.
We don't need a DNA test. It's I have a good feeling Brad's right about it being an opening scene. The Fortress of Solitude also reminds me. Well, the one Smallville was based on one of the Christopher Reeve movies.
All of these are based on the Christopher Reeve movie, which is like, I don't, like I said, when I see that, I just want to make sure that I temper my expectations. Like I said, when you tell me if you're going to do a Superman movie or you're going to do any interpretation of a character, I'm really looking forward to, I really love it when artists go and just do their own thing. But at the same time, I can't knock him for being inspired by that, and that's his decision. But whenever somebody who has never handled a character gets on a character, I want to see what's inside that person's head as in regards to what would you do were it not for the previous iterations of these characters. Like if I went to James Gunn and asked him to say, hey, if you had never seen any of these characters and I just gave you the assignment to and I just handed you some Superman stuff and you'd never seen it in the motion picture, you'd never seen it as that, what would you come up with? I'm just curious because I think that's Snyder did that. Snyder did something that was what he was thinking of. I mean, yeah, he had inspirations, but that's what I'm always curious about when these guys take, and that's what makes them new. But you know what? Like I said, he made the decision to go with a certain era of Superman. those are creative decisions that I can respect. And like I said, we make fun of Guy Gardner, but Guy Gardner is just Peacemaker without the toilet bowl on his head in some cases. If you look, there's a lot of similar. I mean, he's not, he doesn't kill as many people as Peacemaker has, but Peacemaker is the same thing on his face. You look at him, he's ridiculous. He has this obnoxious personality, but by the end of the series, I actually cared about what happened to Peacemaker. So he could do that for Guy Gardner, either in this movie or Lanterns. So I have to see the movie. I don't want to overdo it with just this little segment that they've shown us. It gives you the tone. Like I said, the tone is what the tone is. I told you before when you started to cast people that this is probably going to be a JLI tone, and that's going to be my major issue with it. But that's a preference thing. If you're excited about this movie and this made you more excited, that's the right answer too. I'm just tempering my expectations because I know what I prefer in a Superman movie, and I want to go into it with let's give this guy a shot. But so far, like I said, what I've seen, I mean, everything I've seen is solid. The casting was solid from day one. The teaser was solid. This was solid. Lex Luthor looks brilliant. I like it. Look, I can feel his anemone. So there's a lot of good things about it. Like I said, it's just I'm not a guy, like I said, when I lay down money for my ticket, I'm not for callbacks and throwbacks personally, and that goes for any movie, by the way. Especially if it's a new interpretation. Now, if it's a sequel, like we're talking about lineage and like that, but when it comes to interpretations, I'm paying to see the next step forward. So, but that's my bias, and I'll admit freely that I have that bias. I'm not a nostalgia guy. I'm not a callback guy. I am a forward-looking guy. I'm ready for this version of of DC, and I just hope I hope this movie does well enough to get me the Lanterns.
Yeah,
because the tone. That's the thing about the tone.
And by the way, real quick, just interject. Bradley and Austin, Chai guys, they were at CinemaCon, and they said, James Gunn confirmed, that clip is from the first season. So I was right. I was right-ish. It's like maybe not the
that
opening scene.
Wasn't that hard to figure out. But, what was I saying? He's just totally disrupted what I was about to say. When it comes to the tone of the DCU, to me, that's going to be the interesting thing because Damon Lindelof is his tone and the way the people that are working on Lanterns, they do things differently. I think I got a feeling, even though this world is connected, I think each person is going to create with their own lens. So, say for instance, if you don't like the tone of Superman, doesn't mean you're not going to like the DCU. Same thing with Tom King and who's directing Supergirl. I'm drawing blanks. All of these people that are involved in these projects have different ways of telling stories. So it's going to be interesting to see, say you're not a comedy guy, or you don't, from what I hear, the jokes are placed where they, they're relevant. So, but like I said, I have the advantage of, Lanterns. I have the advantage of, Wonder Woman, Paradise Lost. I have the advantage of, Batman. I'm not even near the fence yet when it comes to Brave and the Bold. I don't know anything about it. I don't know who Batman's going to be. I don't know who the director is going to be. I know it's supposed to be Machete, but in the years that this movie might take to make, I don't know if he's going to be still part of the project. So, but as far as the other projects goes, man, just knowing what those guys make and what they produce and what I've watched, I think that you're going to see a variety of distinct things going on with this. And I'm just ready to take the first step through the door because I know somewhere in that house is Lanterns, and that's really what I'm ransacking the house to get to. I don't know what's going to go on in the next 10 years, guys. We don't know. And I'm legitimately saying we don't know. And the more and more I hear from Zaslav and I don't know what kind of conversation that they've had with the hedge fund guys. So, 10 years is a long time to say that this is going to be my Superman for 10 years. He's my Superman for the next year and a half. How about that? That's all I can really guarantee you. Let's see. Fun. I'm not going to shut my brain off necessarily, but I'm going to temper my expectations. I know that this is a different tone of Superman that I connect with, just judging from what I've seen. However, I haven't seen enough to really put that in stone. I'm reacting to what I have, but on July 11th, I will react to the movie. I will react to the film. And I could walk out of that theater being like, you know what, I get it. I feel what he's going for. And, and that's about it. I mean, but that's it. I mean, I just really want to go to this movie, have fun. I don't have to agree with all the decisions. I don't have to love Superman. To have fun with Superman because it's a comic book movie and it's a fictional character. So let's go with this. Thank you, Larry, for the $5 super chat. Willa Brad. Ugh, that I wonder what those kids look like. I hate the fact that Snyder haters are already saying the beginning, meta commentary, the character's beaten down. He needs help. Like I said, I collectively, and when I say that some Superman fans are worse than some Trek and Star Wars fans, I'm not just talking about the anti-Snyder people. I'm talking about Superman fans in general. I really want to know what any of these guys were reading. Those robots that are in that those are in comics. They're in the comics. Those robots exist in the comic books. And I'm wondering, and I'm going to go deeper into this question, and I want people to think about this question. When you say stuff like Superman should be hopeful and colorful and gleeful and rainbows and mushrooms and stuff. When you say that, what Superman has not had that as the goal of what his core is, but and also to that question, and this is a legitimate question: what Superman have you ever watched or read where Superman hasn't gone through it to get to it? This Superman that's just happy. And to be honest with you, judging from everything I've seen from James Gunn's Superman, he's getting his ass kicked. He's getting shit thrown at him.
I had one. I had a little fun with this today. Actually, I'll go. Do you want me to pull it up?
Not yet.
Okay.
So what I think it is, and there is no wrong way to tell a Superman story. What James Gunn is telling you right now, that's the right way, because that's the storyteller. That's his perception of Superman. Every person who's ever been put pen to paper, cartoon, whatever, they have told that is the right version of Superman because of the way the idea was cultured and let go. But if you're telling me you're telling me that Superman, the movie, didn't have some dark stuff into it. I recall Lois dying in that and having didn't I mean, I was young, but I remember him having to turn the world around to bring her back to life. I recall Superman 2. I recall him spending 75% of that movie doubting himself, moping around and giving up his powers because he couldn't be Superman and go after Lois, which was absurd even for the 80s. I remember him murdering him and Lois murdering 3 Kryptonians. Nobody gave a fuck about those guys. I remember him going back to the truck stop with his superhuman powers and using Superman, Mrs. Happiness, Mr. Happiness is hopeful, taking a swing at a guy and putting him down the bar table or the bar thing and through the window. And he hit him with superhuman strength. So, and that was okay. But what I'm wondering is, where is this composite Superman that these people are reaching for that didn't go through all the stuff that every one of these Superman movies have gone through? And then you want to use a movie that nobody has seen in its completion. None of us have seen completion. And you're going to tell me that this is the Superman. It's good to see a Superman back. You've seen exactly what we've seen. You don't know he's going to go through that movie. Every time I've seen anything from this movie, he's getting his ass kicked or has gotten his ass kicked. So he's going to go through the same stuff that it seems like every other Superman has. But we've selectively just taken the bits and pieces that make us happy, and then that's what Superman is. No. And no format that even some of the cartoons were deeper than that. So, yeah, I'm just asking for a friend. When you use these words like hopeful and colorful and optimistic, and you use them as a backhand to other Superman movies, I've watched those movies too. I've read those comics too. Are you saying that just because that's what comes to front of mind? And if so, be honest about that. Be honest about that. But like I said, I will stand on this hill. There is no wrong way to tell a Superman story. Even the stuff I don't like. Guess what? You know how I feel about Smallville. But whatever they did in Smallville for the decade that show was on the air, that was that person's method of storytelling. That person told that Clark, not a Superman story, but a Clark Kent story from the point of view that they felt that they needed to tell their story. I don't have to like it. I just don't rewatch it. But that there's no wrong way to tell a Superman story. Now, I have levels and preferences, sure. But so does everybody. But that doesn't mean that, I need to make up some version of Superman that I don't, it never existed. It never existed. So we got some more super chat. Thank you, Larry, for supporting on this level. I also don't love the idea of Superman needing help from a dog, robots beginning scene. That has happened in the comics. Not the route I would go with Superman, but I'm okay with it. Don't get me wrong, I'm still excited, but I feel like it's geared towards non-fans, people who think Supes is too OP dog lovers. Well, I do think that he's making something that's going to be commercially. See, I don't even think James Gunn believes that the Superman that some of these guys come up with even exists, but I think he knows how he needs to market to the general audience that do think that way, because he's not going to change the perception without actually showing them the movie. But like I said, I haven't seen anything James Gunn does that where his heroes or his animals or whatever it is he's doing have not gone through it. He takes you, and good storytellers take you on the journey within our hero or heroine, and then they come out the other side. Now, you can make the argument that the last iteration of Superman never got to that end of that arc because of fans like this and because of a shaky company. But I've heard Zach talk on Junkie and all these other shows. That was the goal. Everybody has the goal of getting to that Superman. They all have to take their different way. And what we need to start doing, in my opinion, is respect that person's methods and journey.
And by the way, how's it going at ACS?
Hey, yeah, listen, ACS. Hold on, we're gonna go off topic here. I was worried about you.
Well, you go ahead.
I was worried about you, and I can't be going. I stay up 4 a.m. in the morning, and I'm watching. And I just don't think it's cool that you just appeared on me. And so I put, I was worried. I put the feelers out. I needed to make sure the homie was okay. And he immediately reached back out to me and said everything was good. So yeah, you listen, guys. You show up missing, I'm going looking for you. You will end up on a milk carton. If I see you on a scheduled anything every day, and all of a sudden you ain't doing that for a while, here you go. Here you go. This milk carton speaks to you. Now, I was going to do it with him shirtless, but, I think he's I didn't know what was going on. So there you go. How you doing, Anthony? What's going on?
This is my bad. What? And yeah, good seeing you, man. Actually, it's everything you were just saying also about Superman fandom. This is where I had you're
not going to show me your war. Well, you didn't go to war with somebody, did you?
No, I didn't go to war with anybody. It's like, and listen, I don't. It's only that dickhead Jesse White. Okay.
With Jesse White, I don't know who you are, but now you don't be coming at me. I don't have the time.
But it's like I'm not above dropping my 2 cents in a way that's maybe provocative here and there on social media on these.
See, to me, I'm the exact opposite. I don't. I'll use the show. I'll say what I have to take in the show, and that's it.
Well, so here is my commentary, and this is actually before they because this actually leaked. It was like cell phone footage that leaked, and then
we're not going to play some leaked shit, are we?
No, yeah, but that leaked out there, and then they just said. I mean, I bet they literally said that. Okay, fuck it, let's just put it out there for people.
Which is what they should have done from minute one. Remember what I was saying? Why are you? We get the conversation going. Let's go, man.
But anyway, so this is where I had a little bit of fun with some of this. And one thing I'm genuinely liking about James Gunn's Superman, for a movie that many are hyping as a quote-unquote fix to Snyder's, not only has Corn Sweat yet to smile once in what we've seen, he's also constantly writhing in pain and navigating what appears to be a very trying time in his life. And then I had a little bit of a secondary one there. God, I would want to use this GIF for so long in this conversation. Methinks we're going to see a lot of mental gymnastics in Superman fandom come July. So I had a little fun with that today, guys. So take that for what you will.
Yeah, I just pretty much skipped most of the Discord because it was a waste of my time.
We
I
did.
didn't block you.
We did.
I didn't block you. But she must be talking about somebody else.
Mm.
Unless you can see the future, dude. I mean, we don't know that. I mean, it could. I'm not saying it's not, but don't project, what you guys want onto a movie because that's just not reality all the time.
Well, and that's kind of also, in all seriousness, that's kind of
okay. Now he's trolling. Okay, so now I know that you're trolling. I'll leave that away.
Yeah, don't throw us forth. I mean, fly, excuse me. But that also, in all seriousness, this kind of gets to like what my mindset behind this comment, which is that there's also, and it kind of plays in what William's saying too about Superman fandom. There's a lot of, let's be real here, a lot of Superman fans who are really, I think, kind of imposing their desire to have a Superman movie act as a rebuttal to prior versions, specifically Zack Snyder's. In a way that maybe James Gunn himself, that's not the movie he wanted to make.
Yeah, I don't think James Gunn. To be honest with you, I don't think James Gunn gives two shits about those people. He's just gonna make his movie, and like I said, I may not agree with all aspects of what he may or may not do, but I can respect the risk. This guy's taking a massive risk with all of this. He's putting his name down on something that can sink or swim, and I applaud that alone. And this is a really hard IP because of its fans to really to get under. So everybody has their their own idea of Superman. Unfortunately, this is why I stay away from. Like I said, I have my preferences, but I'm open to other preferences as well. Like I said, I never wanted Zack Snyder's Superman to be the last Superman I ever saw. I just wanted the story that I got. That's it. I didn't want it to be forever, but I wanted it to be finished. That's all.
Yeah.
I mean, I think when you're talking about an 8.5 decade old character, you just got to understand that every generation, every person is going to have their points about it that make it, that hit it for them, that do it for them. And I can completely understand that. For me, it was Zack Snyder's Superman. I read comics long before I saw that movie. I am not going to be, with my 40 years of in the comic books, in collecting, selling, and all that, in my time on this show, in my opinion, I have no right to define Superman for you. No one has the right to do that. And when you do it in words, it sounds just as silly. When I will never, this is what Superman is supposed to be. How do I know that's going to be, yours? How do I know the way you look, your worldview is? How do I know how you feel about heroes, how you feel about any of these things, how you feel about where you're at, what country you're watching? How do I know what you're going through in the lens that you are viewing these superheroes is? No one should ever do that. No one, I don't think, be honest with you, other than the person who is telling the story, it has a right to tell you what Superman's supposed to be, and then Superman is back. Where the fuck did he go? Other than the witness protection program that was Warner Brothers keeping him off the big screen for 7 years. But as far as that goes, Superman back. He was back in 2013. He was back on the CW. He was back on Superman because that wasn't the Superman that lined up with your stuffed cuddly animal dreams. That's not Superman. No, Superman Returns, I think it's a bad movie. That's Superman. Smallville, that's Superman or Superboy or whatever. You know what I mean? That's Superman. When it comes to that. Now, like I said, it's a little bit different when the way that Schuster and Siegel set up that idea. They set it up to evolve. Different when it comes to Batman, because Batman, characters like Batman, Daredevil, these characters had parameters that were the character was designed to work within. Superman is an idea; it's almost an abstract, so it's really hard for people to do that, given the fact that that's gone on. And even to my point, let's even when it comes to Batman, I've told you my misgivings about the animated series, but I've also said, if that's where you're coming from with Batman, I'd rather have you at the table than not at the table. All right. Well, at some point, we're going to get to talking Dark Knight Returns. Even though I don't care where you came in with Batman, we're gonna get to that point in the conversation. But I think Superman more so than others because it's not just when it's Batman, it's a relatable character, and that's your avatar of anger and everything that you're going through. Superman is a hope and a dream. Superman is an aspect, and now it has to line up with everybody's, identity of that. And I don't think that's fair for the viewer, and I don't think that's fair for the creator. I think that puts creators in a horrible position every time we have to pick up the Superman pen again. So please take that down. I'm tired of seeing it.
Well, no, I mean, really, in all seriousness, it's like I stand by this point, and it's like, and I may get some mileage. I'm actually there is an angle, in all this, where it's like my anticipation for this movie has somewhat elevated in all this because I may.
You're cutting out. You're cutting out. You're cutting out. You're cutting out.
This gift and this. Okay,
No.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Now repeat what you just said because it went out.
Okay, so yeah, I may get the general point is I may again the whole thing about again we have yet to see Corn Sweat Superman smile at all. He looks like he's going through what something like almost like his Superman is going through like almost like an existential crisis of some kind from the footage and the whatever everything we've seen so far. So, and again, just if we get this outcome that I think we may get, where like people are going to start singing the praises of things in the Superman movie that 8-9 years prior they were absolutely decrying, this gift may come back.
You know what? I'm not going to go after them. You know why? I'm going to applaud them. And here's the thing why. Because we are not in 8 or 9, 10 years ago. We have to understand that even though that sucked a decade ago, just like opinions have changed about ZSGL and all these other things, you have to give people the room to evolve. If they just because they weren't ready for that type of storytelling 10 years ago, doesn't mean that I can't welcome them into the fold and be like, now if you're using as a weapon, then yeah, you'll be able to spot those assholes and just mute them and move on. Don't even engage with them. But as far as James Gunn just has to go out and make his movie. He doesn't have to, you just make your movie, put your style on it, and then let people figure that out after that one. But you know what? Just because people couldn't comprehend and didn't want or weren't willing to comprehend what Zack Snyder was doing 10 years ago, doesn't mean that just because when they become able to do that, I'm not going to knock them over that. I'm like, just to say it's the same. I took people to these movies over the past 10 years that we've been promoting movies, and I've watched their opinions change. I've watched their outlook change. I've watched their openness change. And I would rather have that person in the fold than the person who just has tied their identity to a certain type of Superman, and they're using that as a baseball bat and to go over the heads of anybody else. It's Superman. Batman's a different conversation, and I'm more than happy to have that conversation in some cases because Batman is completely different in nature. That's what makes World's Finest so great, by the way, the different nature. I think you have to go about cultivating the Batman asset and protecting the Batman asset in a different way than you have to when you're talking about Superman. So because of what connects you to each, a different emotion connects you to Batman than connects you to Superman. So when you represent Batman, you got to be careful because if you take that edge away from Batman, then he's not Batman. Superman is the one character that has been consistently portrayed throughout. And everybody thinks that it's been different. I mean, like I said, I hear that and I'm like, okay, I hear all these things and it's just like they want to use this to project how they're feeling about Superman. And I'm like, that's fine, but there's no wrong way to tell a Superman story. There's no wrong way to tell a Superman story.
And I get everything you're saying about like allowing people to evolve and allowing people to.
If they're not being assholes, if they're being assholes, then yeah, whatever.
Well, I get that, but I'm the kind of person like I'm still going to take the piss out of you at least one time for being this slow. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah,
we've got a super chat from Bell. Yeah, so.
No, there are certain aesthetics I don't like about the entire production. I've said that. I'm trying to be consistent when it comes to Superman stuff. Um, but no, but those aren't. There's no. None of them are going to break me. None of them are going to break the movie for me. Otherwise, I would have been done when I saw the uniform because I hate the uniform. I hate that. I hate that costume. Um, but like I said, what's going to keep it consistent for me? Thank you for the $5 super chat, Bill. Is the story, because in everything that James Gunn has done that I did like, the story trumped everything else. The story is what makes Guardians of the Galaxy good, not how good the talking tree and the talking raccoon look. The CGI. Now I can give shit about that. If the story was bad, I wouldn't care. The Suicide Squad. I like the story from Suicide Squad as it evolved throughout. Everything in that movie looks ridiculous, but it was a story that took it from me. And Peacemaker, literally the most ridiculous things that you could see on a TV screen are in Peacemaker on every level. But from episode 3.5 on, it was the story about each of those individuals and how they wanted to be better. They were doing these jobs, they were living these lives because that's what they were supposed to do, and they got to a point where they didn't like who they were, and they all took on this mission to save the world, to try to create something better for them. That was the story of Peacemaker, not a fool with a toilet on his head, not moth type aliens, not the dude with the not none of that. Those are all basically window dressing. So it's going to be the same thing with Superman. If the story is a strong, solid story that gets me going, it can look ridiculous. I don't care. But if it's something that I can't connect with, if it's a tone I can't connect with, then it's not going to matter. Even if I like the costume could be the best Superman costume in the world. If it's a shitty story, then I'm not coming back. So, a lot of this is going to happen on July 11th or whenever I see it. I might see it earlier. Who knows? I really hope Warner Brothers, you get behind this and you do some pre-screenings out here in Vegas. I think it's an excellent way to make your case. And I think it's an excellent case to let people know, what they have to look forward to. Oh, Evil William. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Evil William.
Now you know the flies, man. I never go to bat. Wait, you're going all caps. I'm just waiting for you to slip up. But I'm starting to believe that it's not him.
Yeah.
Megan 2.0. That looks as silly as Megan 1.0. That's what worked for.
Do you think movie ticket prices and concession prices will be affected by the year of terrorists right now?
Yes. I think everything is going to be affected. By the way, I'm in Vegas. Man, I'm fucked. Damn it. Oh, this needs to end. We're not getting political. It's just money. It's finances. The tariffs are a reality. And the tariffs that are we hitting on the 9th, and people like, wait, they haven't even hit yet. What are you worried about? Tariffs and talk of tariffs are the same thing. Mm-hmm. People will react to the talk. I live in Vegas. I run a business in Vegas. I want you to come here. But I know you ain't coming here if you're broke. All right. And if you do come here and you're broke, you ain't spending the kind of money that we in Vegas want you to spend. You're playing penny slots. You're not playing the blackjack. You're doing the cheap route. You're not coming out to eat. You're getting a Happy Meal. See, yeah. So I need. I saw this today, and I tried to keep it on my mind. I'm like,
do you think that? I mean, just the impact, because this is, I mean, again, without getting too much into politics here, but I mean, the impact that this is becoming is snowballing so fast. Do you think there's a chance they may have no choice but actually kind of walk these back, say, okay, this is causing such disruption to the markets?
I think eventually, sooner than later, but once again, you can't undo the damage. Listen, we got a lot of chats coming in, Bill. I try to yours show up. I try to read as many as yours, guys. I do have to tell you, we're not going to ever be in a. I try sometimes. Sometimes we don't have a lot of discussion. I can go through and tag them and go from top to bottom. A lot of times, like tonight, if it's a particular topic and we have, a lot going on, I try to at least get one from, one or two from everybody that's in here. And I don't think there's anybody in here that I haven't. I answered fourth. I've answered all the fourth avatars.
Speaking of fourth here. I was broke, William. I still visited you, bought you lunch, and you were mean to me.
Oh, I tried to push you off a ladder, but hey, it's those impulses of mine. Yeah, story is important, and the costume and the look of the hero too. I'm not going to want a statue of every. Yeah, but okay, I'm going on. Realize a lot of what I'm telling you guys is coming from my own personal preference. I understand there's going to be different varying. I mean, I can get past a costume I don't like if the story is like, holy cow, you know what I mean? Because you can improve a costume. Your first step out of the door with your story really needs to be on point. You can improve a costume. As far as I know, we could wrap up the movie with a better costume than the one that we're seeing throughout these clips. You know, who knows? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you know, especially with the two DC things that he's done for me were the ones that I really, you know, I enjoyed those things.
I'm right back.
Right. All right. Let's see. The Techno UN Army, was this in reference to something else? Nerd had a stream last night. William, you should have jumped on and said, I don't know when he's streaming. I didn't get a notification. Let's see. I'm going back to I'm gonna go live tomorrow and Jack. Oh wow! If like I said, that you could, if you guys haven't watched her streams, it's gonna be an F-bomb fest. Bell uses the F-bomb like periods and commas, so it's gonna be up in there. What time are you going live, Bell? I want to be on. Yeah, Zach's storytelling was literally ahead of its time, and not everybody was ready for it, and it's unfortunate. But there you go. Send them for jeez. There's a sneeze that I'm trying to get out, and it won't come out. So yeah, there's tariffs everywhere, and it's we're you know, the Senate is trying to stop him from using tariffs on Canada. Canada? I listen. I don't think people understand. Like when you talking about in Mexico, dude, you know how a car goes back and forth over the border like 6 or 7 times in assembly, getting parts from everywhere. I mean, you were literally I don't know. Yeah, like I said, it's just. I thought it was a draw. I thought both gentlemen did what they needed to do. I really did. Yeah, and can you what am I subscribed to Nerd Cosinosis channel? I'm so used to seeing him with Anthony. Hold on. I thought I was. Okay. I found where Rhea did an interview. So hold on. Make sure she's does she here we go at Nerd Cosinosis. Here we go. Oh wow. But he doesn't have anything on the thing though. He only has 7. He's got to have a different channel because I've subscribed to one that Reign of Horror.
Yeah, I know the one you talk.
Can you put a link in the channel for me?
Yeah, and actually fourth, you've had Ruth on there for some of those because God, I miss Ruth. You know here, and whoever pushed her off of social media, don't ever let me be
not a topic on this channel.
Whoever pushed her off of social media, it's like don't ever let me be in a room without windows to that individual.
Now I got to edit that out. All right, Reign of Horror. Let's see. Because I thought I was connected to his channel, but his channel doesn't have any shit on it. Reign of Horror, where is that? Oh, there's a bunch of channels. That Nerd, if you're watching, put Respond with the link to your channel, because when you're streaming, like I said, I'm used to seeing you on ACS, but I know you got I know you. Aaron, send me his link to his channel because I know you were watching it. All right, I think that's a good place to end it. Whoa, wow, it's been a long hour. Been a long hour of shit. Nothing else happened. I heard some rumors out of CinemaCon about Fantastic Four. One of them I believe, and that's that Sue is pregnant with Franklin in this movie, which totally makes sense to me because I think I'm just pulling this out of my ass.
Link's right
That
there, guys, by the way.
all right, thank you. That Galactus is Franklin Miller. Franklin Richards. Fucking Frank Miller stays on my mind. Franklin Richards is that universe's Galactus. And I think he's going to, even though it's going to look and feel like the Galactus that we all know, if you read the storyline, especially where Shali Bala is the Silver Surfer, which she is in this movie, in that universe, the Earth X universe, Franklin Richards is Galactus. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him trying to save himself or because he knows where he falls after. Totally pulling that out of my ass, but makes sense. Because remember, Franklin Richards came on early. I think Franklin Richards appeared. The Fantastic Four first started 1962. I think they weren't on they weren't around, but 6 years before Franklin Richards was born. So he's always been a big part of the storyline from like the get-go. They've always had him. Seems like they always had him. So November 1968. November 1968, and the Fantastic Four had only been around for 6 years at that point. So the majority of their existence, there's been a Franklin Richards, Power Pack, all that other stuff. Late afternoon, around 5, 6. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna come on your. I'm gonna be in your chat. Listening. But yeah, I'm gonna have it on. I'm gonna have the volume low because I never know where Bell Rev streams are gonna go.
Are you talking about doing this tomorrow or what?
She's gonna be on. She's gonna be on tomorrow, like 5 or 6 p. And she's on Pacific time. So yeah.
Okay, so that'd be like about 9 o'clock for me, right?
Yeah. I will be listening to you in the background, Belle. So don't go crazy. So don't be doing or saying anything that I gotta run to my computer and hit stop on. All right. So yeah. 1961. I'm so hyped for this movie. I don't want Superman to crash and burn, but that's not Fantastic Four, and it's gonna be Comic-Con time too. So we're gonna see it out there. Oh my goodness, this is gonna be so much fun. So has anybody else got anything else? Because that's it. I mean, this is I was borderline. I wasn't going to stream tonight, but then I'm like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I was thinking. I thought about messaging you because you said you were thinking about taking time, and then when I saw the Superman thing, it's like, oh no, we're totally streaming tonight.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm going to go to this movie and I'm going to have some fun with it. And even if I don't 100% on board with everything that the decision making process that he's done. I mean, that's probably every comic book movie ever made. And when you think about it, so Megan trailer, when does it come out? Absolutely not, Aaron. We're promoting Megan too, so we'll get around to showing that trailer. I still have T-shirts from the original Megan. Belle doesn't swear anymore. Yeah, okay. That fantastic. Yeah, it does. I'm so looking forward to that. I am so looking forward to that. Would you be against Guy having a solo episode in Leonard? Not at all. Listen, as much as I cannot, in the comic version of him, like I said.
No. Wait, I need to correct you. And as much as no one can stand Guy Gardner.
Yeah, but Peacemaker was a goofball who has less credibility and less business being on screen than Guy Gardner does. So if he can do that with Peacemaker, there's a story behind Guy Gardner. I just have no time for it. But if you put him in a solo episode of, I can guarantee you they're going to. I can guarantee you they're going to give him some time. And you know what? I may come out of the other end of it thinking differently about Guy Gardner as he in the context of that show. I'll give that a shot. Now, do I want him to be the majority? No. Give him an episode, and then get back to this long mystery that, dude, I can't wait for Lanterns. I can't wait for Lanterns. Everybody was like, this is just two guys walking down the road, and this is nothing. It's everything. It's everything. It's Green Lanterns, and we haven't had. I don't count 2011. Sorry, we haven't had live action Green Lantern into completion. We had Wayne T. Carr, which we never really got to see yet. Who knows? But as far as like actual shit that's in production and actually going to get done and shown, and we haven't had this. We haven't had live action Green Lantern yet. All right, you can go ahead and count Ryan Reynolds, who, by the way, for as talented as he is, that's a bad casting. That to me, I could never get over the miscasting of that movie, other than Sinestro, who, by the way, could come back. Who knows? Just James Gunn thinks like that. So,
well, yeah. And again, there's that one little like snippet that William and I were discussing that we're kind of saving for the Saturday show, but it's like a sound bite that came out like what James Gunn said. That's like, oh, this might play into like stuff we've talked about on here. It's from something he said at the CinemaCon presentation for Superman. So no, we probably go into that Saturday night.
All I'm going to say is this: I'm going to use a particular movie as an example that bombed or sort of bombed. I don't think we've seen the last of the Flash. I'm just going to put that out. I really don't think of them. Yeah, and he, like I said, I'm not knocking Ryan Reynolds, but I just think that was, when you see it, and I never want to say somebody can't play a role. That's fan casting. But once I saw him playing a role, I just like, no, that's not it for me. All right, so where's my belt? My belts are behind me. My belts are about to get signed in a few weeks. Yeah, baby. Yeah, that time in comics was a really unique time that we'll never ever have again, because it was at a time after World War II, after the Korean War, the prosperity that was going on, that what America looked like on its face, but then things got ugly. 1963, you had the Kennedy assassination. Then you had the Civil Rights era explode on TV. Then you had Vietnam. It was like you had from 1960 to 1963 in a lot of these comics, Spider-Mans, the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, they all came out during that, what I call a time of color, as far as, the big, bright and, extravagant. The only thing that we really had to fuel our stories was the Cold War and nuclear warfare. And that fueled all of science fiction. But after that, like I said, when in World War II, you didn't get to see the amputations and the bleeding soldiers, the propaganda. We never showed you that on TV. Vietnam, Walter Cronkite was in your living room, and you got to see it up close. You got to see the Civil Rights era, and that you look at what Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and all those guys were trying to say and couldn't say in the early 60s, and then how comic books changed mid 60s to late 70s, the Black Power movement. All of those things like that. Character like Luke Cage that literally came out of late 60s, early 70s Black Power movement. You just look at him, sideburns, furrow, muscles, shirt down to here, fighting dirty cops. I mean, it was a different time. One of these days I'm gonna go over like each decade of comics and just see, and just analyze what influenced these guys and what changed for them, and how it happens today. Because like I said, we're living in a hot political climate today, and you see a lot of the stories in comic books reflect that, whether people like it or not. It's just people write from the point of view that they're living in. So no, I don't. Punch Comics, no. I wish I had some of that stuff in my broadcast. I think First Steps are referring to the space program. And the first steps of of what they consider to be the dawn of Marvel. Because like I said, if they had the rights to Fantastic Four, I think we would have seen Fantastic Four long before now. Let's see. Don't forget to like, subscribe, spread the word. Yeah, and do the same for Nerd Coach Nostra's. I call him Dracula, but you know, when you see him, you'll understand why. Let's see, Chris Pine looks like Hal Jordan. Well, a lot of people look like Hal Jordan. I'm never going to see those movies, so I didn't really. I couldn't sit through the first Naked Gun movie, so I mean, I doubt we'll see the trailer here. Sorry, guys. That Minecraft. Like I said, I'm not going to Minecraft. All right, Junkie gave a good review. So, and Jason Momoa has fun in anything he does. So here you go. That's okay, but I just never felt like I was watching anything. You know, I just never felt him in that role. You know what I mean? And I think that his acting and that miscasting set the tone for that movie, and that's why I never could really, you know. Oh, I'm almost certain Doom is in that movie. I think Doom ends up being the primary villain towards the middle or end of that movie, and I think he usurps power.
Yeah,
and I think he's going to do something with Galactus to where he gets a portion of the power cosmic, and that allows him to cross over into universes or destroy the one that they're in, and they all have to escape. And then I think he's going to end up trying to take Loki's powers in some way, shape, or form. But I guarantee you he's going to be. There's no way. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. It was not an easy read. It was a product of the time it was released, and listen. Some of the times, you know, we can't go back in time, but you know, I'm glad we got to the point where we can look back on his first stories, because his first stories weren't cool. You know, if you know what I'm saying. Let's see. Just gonna answer a few more, and then we'll wrap it up here. Ryan Reynolds is still holding up too. I think he would be fine if he reprised that role. I don't know. I mean, he would have to become something, you know, he'd have to literally dive into a version of that role. Will Doom kill Galactus? I think everything in that universe that you're going to see in first steps is going to die simply because I think they have to flee that universe. I think they are the forebringers of. They're going to be the ones that let the MCU, along with Doctor Strange, everybody know that these universes are collapsing, and they're not collapsing by accident. Doom has found a way to get where Loki is. And either Loki is going to see that coming and get his own army together. So all the good guys are going to be Loki's people. And what Doom is going to do is I think Doom is going to use whatever powers he gets, and whether he taps into Loki's powers or whatever, and he's going to assemble his own people. And and it's going to be a secret war. It's going to be, and they'll have their own battle world. So, but yeah, that's what I think is going to happen. Like I said, I have no inside information, but there you go. Neil Adams created. Yeah. Neil Adams created John Stewart. Wow, when did John Stewart? What year was he in? He was in the 70s for sure.
Yep.
John Stewart, because he's been around a lot longer than people realize. John Stewart's first appearance was in December 1971,
and he just passed away about 2 years ago, like pretty recently.
Yeah, and he was 80. I didn't realize Neil Adams has been around. I met Neil Adams too.
He and Denny O'Neil are both about 80 when they passed away. Denny O'Neil, man, that guy is a legend.
Yeah, Denny O'Neil was 81. Man, these guys, wow. These are legends, and like I said, number 87. But what he has become, though, is as they've told stories about the core, John Stewart's has been very, very important, because I think people who wrote Green Lantern back then wanted to let you know that, what, there are other Green Lanterns. Yeah, they're not going to let us tell ones that are not human for the most part. So guess what? Earth is only supposed to have one Green Lantern, 20, but you know what? We're just gonna give you these, because they couldn't tell stories using the cucumber-looking Green Lantern, because they were afraid that the people wouldn't relate. They had no problem putting Nort in there, but I thought Pedro Bezos. No, he is Reed Richards. Yeah, I heard that rumor too. But I also think he may kill Loki in the beginning, or he may try to kill Loki in the beginning. But if he kills, I don't think that's going to happen, because if that happens, then he basically would be the game over. He wouldn't really need to do anything else. He would have control of all of time. So I mean, I don't think that's the way it's going to open up. I think that he's going to try to tap into his power. I think he's going to try to get to Loki, but I think because Loki is going to have all time in his view, he's going to be able to see Doctor Doom coming. So that's where the war is going to be. So it's going to be interesting. Okie dokie. He has a lot. The creator is the most prominent one, but he has more than that. Haven't had a lot of time for him. I mean, we try to, I try to do it, but my schedule, I have a lot, of life stuff coming up in the store that I really don't have a.
Yeah. So I'm assuming like the Saturday, we're not having one the Saturday, right?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, yeah. Well, we're doing the Daredevil ones, though. I mean, but I mean, I get what you're saying before, but I mean, those we save on, we do for Saturdays, because that's when everybody, it's easiest to get everybody around for that. But we'll get back to that. We'll get those back on again. Yeah.
Maybe I don't know.
Yeah. When he did a mea culpa on that too, where he said, he did like he basically kind of like retconned Wonder Woman. She was kind of almost more like a secret agent than like an Amazonian warrior. And he even kind of said, like, no, in retrospect, I understand the backlash that got, where it's like, I kind of effed up there. So that was something he took a lot of ownership on.
On Friday nights I'm on a different stream, and sometimes that stream lasts until late in the evening. And sometimes I, depending on what I'm working on, sometimes I'll stream from there, but for the most part, I'm out of gas by that point. All right, guys, and speaking of being out of gas, let's go ahead and wrap it up there. I got a lot to do these next 3 days, so I know we're going to be doing our Sunday night show earlier than 10:30, so be on the lookout for that, because I will be watching AEW Dynasty, and I'm going to want to talk about it right afterwards. The Saturday overnight show, we'll be talking Absolute Green Lantern. We're going to be talking about, Superman fandom. We're going to be talking about a couple of different things that have come out comic-wise since then. And anything else I can think of to throw in there to keep compelling, to keep entertaining, stuff that is, like I said, relevant. We're not a news show. So, so the stuff I talk about, I know a lot of people want me to become a news show. We talk about stuff that, I'm interested in, and that makes me happy. That's, I will, that's what I'm going to do. We're not going to do the highlights and the headlines and the clickbait shit. I just don't do it. If you want to click on the thumbnails that I make, you're more than welcome to, but I'm not gonna, create controversy where there is none. And if there is some, it just doesn't mean I'm going to be talking about it. So, okie dokie. I will see you guys possibly tomorrow night. Probably not on my own channel, but I will see you somewhere over the weekend. Definitely on Saturday.
All right.
See you later, guys. Like, subscribe, share, do all that stuff. And thank you for all of you who left super chats. For those of you, sorry I can't get to every comment on a night like this, but I try my best to get to as many as possible. Tomorrow there will be, I almost forgot to tell you guys this, because I almost forgot it myself. There will be a Patreon stream. Our monthly Patreon stream will be tomorrow. So I will see you tomorrow. Probably going to be around 4 p.m. Pacific time. So keep an eye out on the Patreon if you're a member. Thank you for your support, and we will be talking to you guys directly tomorrow.
I guess.